Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2019 horror film directed by Jordan Peele, Us. This is a film that stars Lupita Nyong'o as Adelaide Wilson and Winston Duke as Gabe Wilson, and it is the follow-up to his hugely popular and successful film Get Out, which I think we can all agree was a pretty bloody good debut in regards to a horror film for sure. Now this focuses on the Wilson family, this film, who we see at the beginning of the film. There's a scene takes place with a little girl, which I'm not going to go into depth. This is going to be completely spoiler free, and I'm not going to go into too much depth in regard to the hypnosis of this film and the structure of it, because I don't want to give anything away. But it then moves on, and the Wilson family are going on holiday to a seaside town somewhere in America. Now when they get there, the wife, Adelaide, played by Lupita Nyong'o, is agitated, nervous, not comfortable. Something's not right. There's loads of coincidences happening. She feels like something awful's happening and is getting closer, and her husband Gabe just makes light of it because he's quite a funny guy. However, that night they are greeted in their drive by a mysterious family that actually turns out to be exact copies of them, evil, monstrous versions of them, and the rest of the film is them trying to survive, and at the same time trying to figure out what is going on, because it might actually be bigger than we first realise. That's kind of all I want to say on this in regards to the plot of the film. There's more happens in this film, but you need to watch it basically. I'm not going to tell you any more than what I've just said. What did I think of this film? I think, well, for the most part, this is another outstanding structured horror film by Jordan Peele. It's clear this guy has huge talent in this genre. And they do say a lot of comedians, horror and comedian is a good crossover. And he's proved it once again. He wrote, produced and directed this film, and he's written it expertly. I mean, the sense of horror and tension built throughout this film is expertly done for such a young filmmaker in regards to the amount of films he's made. It is a masterclass, really, for the most part. There are a couple of issues with this film that I will get to, but I just thought it was superbly made, with an incredibly good soundtrack as well, I have to say. The soundtrack really elevated the film as well, and I thought that really helped too. So it's one of those soundtracks that you could buy and put on. It was really good. As with Get Out, there is a sense of humour in this film. It's not just as prominent as Get Out, but it's there, and it mainly comes from the husband, played by Winston Duke. There's like a dark sense of humour throughout this film, and that almost makes it a very, very dark comedy at times. But it works. It really works. It's very subtle, but it works. The full-on horror in this film is more. I'd say this is more of a horror film than Get Out. Get Out was more of a statement on society in a lot of ways, but done in a horrific way, in the horror genre. And whereas this is similar, it does have something to say. It's not as not as much as Get Out. This is more full on horror, this, and there's more it's scary. I think this is scarier than Get Out. I mean, there are truly some really, really scary stuff in this film. I mean, you're literally on the edge of your seat with it. And I do have to take a moment to absolutely applaud the acting throughout in this film. Everybody is great. The kid actors just knocked it out of the park. I mean, child actors in films can sometimes bring them down because they're children at the end of the day, but they cast some really great actors for the kids in this film. Winston Duke was great as Gabe. I like to say his sense of humour was spot on, and his performance was great. But the standout, and everyone's saying the same, is Lupita Nyong'o's performance. It's a powerhouse. bearing in mind as well that all these actors are playing dual roles, so they should be applauded for this, but especially Lupita Nyong'o. She was just fantastic, and her performance will go unnoticed by the awarding bodies. It's just the way it is. They don't notice them, and they did the same with Hereditary last year. Toni Collette's performance, which in my opinion was one of the strongest I saw last year from a female performer. Nobody noticed it who should have noticed it, and I think it'll be the same here, which is going to be a real shame, because I'm not sure I'll see a finer performance this year by a female actor. It was fabulous, just for the performance alone, and she should be applauded for it. Now, my issues with this film are, the main one I have with this film is, and I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to give away anything, it gives you an explanation as to the reasons and how it just gives you an explanation, and I'm not sure the film needed it, not in the depth that it gave. It left more answers than questions. It left more questions than answers, sorry. And I'm not sure what it achieved apart from setting up the twist ending. And if that was the case, they didn't need to go into as much depth as they did. There's other minor niggles for me as well, whereas right at the beginning where they're about to be attacked, they phone the police, they say they'll be there in 14 minutes, they never showed up. That might be a normal thing in America, I don't know. But that was another thing that kind of niggled me. There was no sign of the police, even though they rang them and they said they were on their way. But other than that, flawless. I did appreciate the ending. I'm not sure you can call it a twist ending, because you kind of see it coming a little bit, but it was a really cleverly written ending for me, and one that leaves you kind of, that adds a new layer that I wasn't really thinking about. But the explanation and that it gives was felt that it was really just for that, and I don't think they needed to explain as much as they did. Less is more, in my opinion. But 8.5 out of 10 for me. It's another really, really good horror film by Jordan Peele. Long may he continue in this genre, and I do highly recommend you go and see this film. So that's my review for Us. I shall see you next time on Screen Stars.